Hi, I'm Rocky. This is my channel. This is my first video I'm gonna be making. I don't make videos usually, so this is a bit awkward still, but I'm gonna continue and have fun. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm 23. I'm Rocky, like I said. I really like movies. I am obsessed with movies ever since I was a little girl. I always loved them. My dad used to bring home a DVD basically every day. And I used to watch them on repeat. I've been in love ever since then. As you can see maybe from the title of this movie is going to be about horror movies. I didn't like them when I was a kid. I hated them. I found them scary. The covers were scaring me. I remember seeing the Saw cover with the pig and being like, no, that is so scary. Keep it away from me. And when I did watch a movie like The Exorcist forced when I was 5, I didn't enjoy horror movies and I was always scared of them and I had nightmares. But then when I turned into a teenager, I tried it again with Chucky for the first one and then Scream, which is my favorite, and I fell in love. And since then I've been obsessed with horror movies. I don't just love horror movies, but horror is one of my favorite genres. So I'm going to be making a guide for people who want to get into horror or are interested in getting into horror. And this first one is going to be my list, and it's going to be about subgenres, because you can make many different types of horror movies. So I'm gonna make this video about the different types of horror movies. I will try my best to keep it short, but I can't promise anything because I do have to give a disclaimer before I begin the video, and that is most of these movies don't fit into just one subgenre. Especially horror movies, they don't fit into one. They fit in multiple, but I just had to pick a couple of examples for each one. So if you think, wait, but that movie is also this subgenre, don't worry about it. All of them fall into multiple. I just gave a couple of examples in case you want to get started. So let's begin with the first one. So, comedic. Well, it already says it. It's a comedic subgenre. It's about laughing. Ha ha ha. It's still horror. It's still creepy. It can still freak you out. It can still be disgusting, but it usually has a lot of comedic elements, a lot of jokes in them, a lot of moments that make you laugh, except if you're a psycho and you laugh at every horror movie. That's a you problem, but these are just some examples I have for comedic movies. I'll give a quick rundown of the plot of the movie so you know what it's about. Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is a zombie movie. There's a zombie outbreak. Then we have Cabin in the Woods. It's about a cabin in the woods. A group of friends go to the cabin in the woods and things start to happen. And that's basically what it's about. So just watch it and you'll see. Ready or Not, it's about a girl that marries into a family, and she finds out that the family has very weird traditions. And that's what the movie is about. The next one we have is Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is about a group of friends that goes to a cabin in the woods. It's not Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods is strongly inspired by Evil Dead. Everybody knows who watches Cabin in the Woods, who's seen Evil Dead. They know it's inspired by Evil Dead. So I would watch Evil Dead first. And it's a really fun movie. There is a remake that they made 10 years ago, but the original one from the 80s is my favorite. I really like that movie. So it is really funny and has many sequels, so that's an option. Then we have Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This one is, I think, my favorite. It's really funny, it's really fun, and it made me laugh so hard. I keep rewatching the movie because I really like it. So that's a very good one if you want to get into comedic horror. So check that one out. The second one we have is demonic. Demonic movies are basically, like it says, it's movies with like demons in it. There is another subgenre on this list that does come close to this subgenre, and it's very difficult sometimes for me to place them in one or the other, but I think I did a pretty good job of keeping these two subgenres apart from each other. So demonic is basically just possessions, demons, and all that kind of stuff. We have some examples, which is The Conjuring 1 and 2. It's about families, both of them, they get a demon in their house, basically. And there's a married couple, who one of them can see demons and all that stuff, and they go to help them. It's a very mainstream movie. Demonic movies are usually mainstream, I'd say, because these are the ones that you usually see in theaters, and these are the ones that people usually talk about. But this also keeps people away from horror, in my opinion, because if you don't like this type of subgenre, and that's the only type of horror you see in movie theaters, then you're not gonna enjoy horror movies if this is the only thing you see. So if you don't like these type of movies, know that there's a different side of horror than just this. We also have the Babadook. The Babadook is just about a mom and her son, and strange shit happens. That's basically it. I'm not gonna be talking about these movies too much. I just want you to watch them with a clean slate. For example, don't watch the trailers, I'd always say, because trailers spoil the whole movie. Then we have The Exorcist. It's a great movie. It's a classic. It's a classic demonic story. It's about somebody who gets possessed and the exorcist has to come to help her. I watched this movie when I was 5, and I rewatched it again when I was like 19, and then I was like, you know what? Actually, I do like it. I don't think it's that scary anymore. But it used to be the scariest movie of all time for a really long time. And we have Insidious. It's about a family and their son seems to be acting strange. There's some weird things happening with the son, and it's also just demonic. Most of these have the same premises, I'd say. They're not very innovative with this subgenre. Then we have Annabelle. It's part of the Conjuring movies. It's about a doll. Some of the Annabelle movies are good. Some aren't. So check them out if you're interested and make up your own mind. I enjoyed 2 of them. I did not enjoy the others. Then we have Ouija, which is basically about a group of friends who uses a Ouija board, and other people use a Ouija boards in the movie, and demonic shit starts to happen, basically. So we have some kind of... yeah, it's... So if you're interested in demonic movies, you can check those out. Those are some options that I have for you. Let's go into the next one. Found footage is basically footage being found. It doesn't have to be footage that's being found in the future. It's just a movie where it's about the characters filming it themselves. So it's like the character in the movie is holding the camera. Like they're filming something in the movie. You follow people and one of them is actually filming, and the footage they're filming is the footage we see as the audience. So it's not a professional camera, it's usually a shaky, I am just filming something camera, which is found footage. It's a very popular one. When it first started, it was very scary because people thought it was real, and I do like that. Here's some examples. Obviously, we have the Blair Witch Project. It's about a couple of students who go into the woods, and yeah, it's a classic. So I do recommend watching it if you want to get into found footage. We have Wreck. It's a Spanish movie from 2005. I really enjoyed Wreck. It's very scary. There's multiple parts of Wreck. They also made, I think, an American version of it, but usually when they make American versions of something, they're not that good. So Wreck is a really good one. It's about a reporter who goes, she kind of goes with like firefighters, and she's like filming the cameraman, and she's a reporter, and then they get like, because of something that happens, she's stuck in an apartment building with many people and shit starts to go down. It's really fun, also scary, but really fun. Then we have Paranormal Activity. This one fits into multiple genres. This is one of those that fits into many, I'd say. But Paranormal Activity is about a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or are they married? I think they're just boyfriend and girlfriend, the first one, and weird things start to happen. So the boyfriend is like, I'm gonna put cameras in the house so we can see what's happening. It's a pretty low budget movie. I think they had like 18,000. Wait, I don't have the exact numbers, I'm sorry, but they did have a very low budget, but they did make a lot of money out of it because it was a good movie, especially in its time. It was one of the first that did it like that, so you gotta appreciate it for what it is. Then we have Creep. Creep is a very funny movie. It's also quite funny. It's about a guy who sees an ad about another guy who's asking somebody to come film him for a day. And when the guy who's like, okay, I'll film for you, he comes in and he starts filming the guy, and the guy starts trauma dumping on him. And he tells him he wants him to film a video of him so he can show it to his son when he's dead, because he's dying. And the strange things start to happen, and the guy he's supposed to film turns into a creep, and it's a really fun movie. This is a movie I'd say watch it with friends, because I watched this one with friends and it was really, really fun. As Above, So Below is one of my favorites. It is about a girl who wants to continue her father's legacy and she wants to find the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, just like in Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone. It's not just a Harry Potter thing. It's an actual alchemy thing. So she wants to find the Philosopher's Stone of Nicholas Flamel, and she goes with some friends with the camera and some French people. They go into the catacombs of Paris. You're not allowed to go in most part of the catacombs because the catacombs are pretty unsafe, but people still do it in real life. And in this movie, they do this as well. And a lot of weird things start to happen. And it is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I really recommend it. It's really good. Gore is basically just, it's disgusting. It's bloods, it's guts, it's body parts, things being chopped off, things flying around, things falling out. Very graphic kills. That's what gore is, and I personally really enjoy it. But some might not enjoy it. But I do want to give a couple of examples if you think you're interested in that. The first one is Saw. Saw is a pretty basic gore movie, especially the first one. If you want to get into gore but you're still scared for a bit of guts and blood, I'd say watch the first Saw movie because I didn't think it was that bad. It's pretty, compared to other gore movies and compared to the other Saw movies, the first one is the tamest one of them all. So I do recommend watching Saw as an easygoing, mainstream gore movie that you can try and see if you like gore. And then we have the second one, which is Terrifier. Terrifier is really gory. There's 3 of them right now. Well, there's more, but let's just say Terrifier. Terrifier itself has 3 movies. They're very gory. The plot is basically there's a clown, this one, and he goes around killing people. It's just a very, very, very gory movie. So I do recommend it. I like Art the Clown really. He's really funny. So I do recommend it if you can handle a lot of disgusting stuff. The next one we have is The Hills Have Eyes. The Hills Have Eyes, you do have the original one and you have the remake. The Hills Have Eyes is about a group of family that's traveling and they get stranded in the hills and weird things start to happen. Usually how the movies goes, weird things start to happen. A funny story about The Hills Have Eyes. I watched The Hills Have Eyes like 2 years ago and I loved it. I was like, oh, this movie is really fun. I like this movie. And then I found out that I watched the remake and I didn't watch the original. So I was like, okay, I'll watch the original one as well. So I watched the original one and I didn't like it. There were some scenes in there that were not necessary. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I think they did a much better job in the remake, in my opinion. The characters were also way more likable in the remake. I don't know how they did that in the remake. This is not too gory, I'd say, but it does have disturbing scenes. Then we have Hostel. This is about some people who go to Europe and they go to a hostel and one of them goes missing and some gory stuff happens when they go missing. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but it is a very gory movie. It's about a monster, basically. It's like there's this monster and we're trying to survive that monster. You have many types of monsters, but this is just like a monster that you're like, this is not like a general monster that you usually see, which we will talk about later because there will be some monsters that we do usually see. So I have some examples maybe to help you understand this. We have Nightmare on Elm Street. It's Freddy Krueger is a very famous horror character, and he kills you in your dreams. So that's pretty scary. I'd say this movie actually scared me. This is the first old horror movie that I've watched that actually scared me, because usually when I watch old horror movies, I never get scared or uncomfortable. I do really like them, but I never get scared. And I got really scared when watching this movie because I was like, what are you gonna do? You can't just not sleep. So that one is I really recommend this one because he's not a person who kills people. He's a monster, basically. Then we have Alien. It's about a group of people in a spaceship, in space, and there's an alien. And the alien does alien stuff. And he kills people. It's a really good movie. I do have to say about Alien, this is random, but I really want to share this. Alien, the script for Alien, for the main character, it wasn't written for a guy or a girl. They just made a character and they made people audition for it. And then they got, well, the one they actually chose. And she's a girl. So I would say, if you ever want to watch a feminist movie, like feminism, hell yeah, watch this one. Because it represents like feminism so well. It's not too pushy. It's not too, look, I'm a girl, I can do it. She just does it. And it's not something special to talk about. She's just like that. That's just her. So I know it's besides the point, but I really wanted to share. Then we have The Host. The Host is a Korean movie. It's about a girl that goes missing and her family goes looking for her. It's an absolutely amazing movie. It does have a monster in it. And it's so good. It's so good. I really like it. If you've ever watched the movie Parasite that came out in 2019, which is also one of my favorite movies, this is the same director, and I really like this movie. If you're not scared to watch movies that are in English, then I would say watch it, because it's really good. Then we have The Descent. The Descent is about a woman who goes with her friends into caves. Why people go into caves, I will never know. I don't know. If you go into caves, this is the stuff that will happen to you. There's 2 different endings to that movie though, so I don't know which version you're gonna watch, but have fun with that. Witchcraft is a fun one. I do really like a witchcraft movie. It's not like a witchcraft movie like The Craft or Hocus Pocus. It's not like that. It's gonna be horror. And I have some examples. This one is an unpopular opinion, I think, but it is witchcraft. It's Child's Play. Chucky, the doll. Child's Play. Because if you see the first scene of that movie, you already know that it's witchcraft. And I do say Child's Play is a good one to start with, because that's the one I started with. And it's just an easygoing horror movie. It's just a doll killing people. And yeah, it's really fun though. Then we have Carrie. Carrie is a girl. She is bullied and her mom is extremely religious. And the shit goes crazy. So you can see the girl struggling with finding acceptance in herself, because the people in her school don't like her, and her mom is very, very religious, like crazy religious, and you see her struggling with everything, and then at the end she just kind of notices she has some powers. It's a really good movie. Then we have Jennifer's Body. I really like Jennifer's Body. I do think it's not as popular as it should be, because they marketed it towards guys, because Megan Fox is in it. It's not a guy movie, I'd say. I mean, a guy can enjoy it for sure, but it's not a guy movie. It's very much girl movie. Jennifer's Body is about a girl, Jennifer, played by Megan Fox. And she does have witchcraft in it for sure. And she changes because of something that happened to her. Something in the movie happens, which means she isn't much of a human anymore. And people die. I don't want to spoil anything, but I also feel like I'm not giving enough to make people want to watch these movies. Well, so this is the one I was talking about before, that it is a bit close to demonic movies, but I do think there's a difference, and I'm gonna give some examples on why I think it's different. Paranormal is a bit different than demonic, because demonic usually focuses on possession and a demon, obviously, and I think paranormal focuses more on ghost than demon, and more of the other side, like the other side comes into play, the other side has power over us. I hope I explained that well, because I think it's very different than demonic, but it was a bit difficult to put some movies into this one and not the demonic one, so I think I made a pretty good list. I'll start with the first one. This is Poltergeist. Poltergeist it does have kids in it as well, just like the demonic ones, but it's about a poltergeist, so it's a bit different than a demon, I'd say. It's a really fun movie. You have multiple versions of Poltergeist, but I do prefer the original most of all. The next one we have is The Shining. The Shining is a great movie. It's from Stephen King. I think most people have seen The Shining. Even if they aren't a horror fan, I think most people have seen The Shining. It's about a family, a husband, a wife, and a son who go work at a hotel in the middle of nowhere, and it's cold. It's cold. And There are paranormal things going on that really affect the father, the main character. Basically, it affects him, and because they're trapped with the three of them, it's very there's a lot of suspense. It feels very lonely, and it's a really good movie. We have Final Destination. Final Destination has 5 movies. It's about, each one of them is about the same thing, but it's just different things in each movie, different fears, common fears. It begins with someone who is in a situation with many other classmates or friends, and they see a vision. They see something happen. They see a crash. So they die in some way, and then they wake up and they find out, oh my god, it was a vision, and then they try to get away from the situation because they know what's going to happen, and some people go with them and they survive their death, but then death comes back to claim them, so each of them dies, and then the main characters have to like kind of try to stop that. That's what it's about. It's very unique, and I really like the Final Destination movies. My favorite is the third one, really nice one. I do recommend watching that one. It's an easy watch, and it's also a very cool watch. So if you're interested in paranormal movies, that's a really nice one. Okay, this is my favorite subgenre. My second favorite was found footage. My favorite is slasher movies. Slasher movies is very simple. It's like the sound slash. A slasher movie is basically, there's a killer. They're killing people one by one, usually. One by one. Oh, somebody died. What happened? Oh no, now they're gonna kill me. Slashers are a staple of horror, I'd say. You can't have horror without slashers, in my opinion. A couple of examples we have are Scream. Scream is my all-time favorite horror movie. I really like it. It's also a murder mystery, Scream. Not all slashers are a murder mystery, but Scream is about somebody killing someone, and people keep dying, and you don't know who the killer is, and you have to kind of guess who the killer is in the cast of the characters. And it's like a joke on old horror movies. So Scream came out in the late 90s, like 1996, the first one, and it laughed at all the slashers that came out in the 70s and 80s. Like, it did all the stereotypical thing, but it also knew itself and it laughed at itself. I really like Scream. And Scream is also an easy one to watch when you just want to get into horror. It's like not too much. It's not too bloody. It's not too gory. It's not too in your face. It's just a good watch. So I really recommend watching Scream. Then we have Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp is about a group of young people who go to a camp and people die in the camp. It's a really fun movie. It's one of my favorites. I do think it's underrated in general. Many horror fans, specifically slasher fans, do know of this movie. The general public doesn't know about this movie. So I do say, watch it. It's really good. I really like it. The next one we have is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also from the 70s. I do like myself some old slashers. It's about a group of friends, and they're on a trip, and weird things start to happen. It obviously is in Texas. Obviously there's a massacre, and obviously there's a chainsaw. And that's all you need to know, actually. Just watch it. It does remind me of The Hills Have Eyes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre do make me think of the other one, but they're very different. They're still fun. The next subgenre is psychological. Psychological is a very good one, I'd say. I think most people would enjoy this. My sister doesn't like horror movies, but she does like these types of horror movies, I found out. So I keep just showing her these type of horror movies so she can watch a horror movie with me. Manipulate the people around you. Hell yeah. So a psychological horror movie is a movie that messes with your brain, messes with your mind. Usually the characters and you yourself, the watcher, gets manipulated psychologically. So it's very emotionally driven, psychologically driven, like going crazy, having emotional and difficulties. So this one is, I think, the most scariest of them all, because this is very human. The first example I have is The Orphanage. It's a movie from 2007. It's a Spanish movie. It's a really great movie about a mom who, her son goes missing. Her son goes missing, and she has a lot of psychological issues. And she kind of, it's about, there's also a house where they used to live in, and you just follow the torment of the mom. And it's a very good movie, but I don't want to spoil too much. But it's a very good movie. I do really recommend that one if you can watch it, because I don't think it's on any streaming services, so I think you'll have to buy it. Then we have Midsummer. I don't know how to pronounce this. Midsummer, people say, but I think it's Midsommar. It's a Swedish name. Midsummer is a very famous one. It's about a girl that's mentally very drained. A lot of stuff happens to her. You can see it in the beginning, like she has a lot of family trauma that's happening in her life. And she goes, because she's feeling so bad. She doesn't want to be alone. And her boyfriend and his friends are going with an exchange student from Sweden back to Sweden with him to celebrate Midsummer with his family. So she's like, I want to go too. And she goes as well to this family in Sweden. And it's not a normal family. And a lot of stuff happens, and it's very psychological. And this movie is really great. And I can't wait to... If you've watched it, please, and you watched this video and you've watched Midsummer afterwards, please let me know what your opinion is on the ending. Let me know what you think. Did you like the ending? Did you not like the ending? What was your opinion at the end? Because I'm really interested, because this is a great movie to know people's opinion at the end of the movie. Yeah. Then we have Black Swan. Black Swan is about a girl who is a ballerina, and she wants to be the perfect ballerina, basically. And she finally gets the role of the swan. Well, I got distracted by my cat, so she's gonna be here for just a second. What was I saying? I don't remember. Oh, she wants to go. All right then, you can go. I thought she would get me some views or something because she's so cute, but I think she doesn't like that way of thinking. Good on her. Black Swan is about a girl who wants to be a ballerina, and she gets the role of the swan in Swan Lake. And if you're the swan, you usually have to play the white swan and the black swan, which are very different personalities. The white swan is very light and innocent and free, and the black swan is very dark, mysterious and seductive. And she has to find her inner black swan, because she's not really a black swan, to portray the character. And you see her kind of like really go into it. It's a great movie. I do really recommend it. The next movie we have is His House. His House is a Netflix movie. His House is about a husband and his wife who live in England. They were refugees from their home country, and they moved to England, and they're having a lot of issues because they're in a new country and they're refugees. And you follow that weird things happen in the house. And it's also a bit, and it's very psychological, and it's very deep. And I think it made me cry, if I remember correctly. It's a really good movie. I do recommend it. So Vampires is basically simple. It's about vampires. The vampires are like what we do in the shadows. It's a comedic movie as well. What we do in the shadows. It follows a group of vampires, and you just follow their life basically. There's also a show about it on Disney Plus, in case you're interested. It's really good. Then we have Nosferatu. Nosferatu is based on Dracula. Dracula is also in this list, the movie Dracula. And Nosferatu is just a very old movie, but there is a remake now. Just came out. So you can also watch the new one if you're not interested in a movie that's more than 100 years old. But it is a classic. I'm not really a big fan of the vampire genre, except for What We Do in the Shadows. So I don't have a lot of examples for you guys. Zombie is a fun one. Like we said in the comedic one, Shaun of the Dead was also a zombie movie. But we have different types of zombie movies. We have ones that are funny, and we have ones that are less funny and more tear-inducing, like some of the movies on this list. We have Zombieland. Zombieland is about a guy who has rules on how to survive the apocalypse, and then he meets a guy who's very different from him, and then they meet two more girls, and you kind of follow them trying to survive the zombie world and what to do when you're actually quite bored when there's a zombie apocalypse. What are you supposed to do? We have #Alive. This is a Korean movie. It's about a guy stuck in an apartment complex while the zombie outbreak is going on, and you're kind of following him surviving in very smart ways and very cool ways to survive, like with food and with getting away from zombies. It's a really fun movie and I do recommend watching it. There's another zombie movie, a Korean one, Train to Busan, and I think that one is even better. It's about a family, a father and his daughter that go onto a train to Busan, and in that train a zombie apocalypse basically breaks out. It broke out, but it broke out while they were in the train too. Somebody came in with the apocalypse and you kind of follow that. And this movie is so emotional. I cried like a little baby watching this movie. I loved it so much because you can see like a father protecting his daughter and many things. And these zombies are scary as hell. They are not like the Walking Dead zombies. They are quick and scary. And I don't want to be in that situation. I would just shoot myself. Yeah, so these are basically all the subgenres that I just listed. I hope I gave enough examples for you to maybe try them out. If there's any, if you like this video, like it. If you didn't, then don't. If there's anything you'd like me to do or to talk about, because I love yapping about films in general, any genre actually, except for action movies, don't ask me that please. If there's anything you want me to do, I'll gladly make a video about it. I can make a review or an essay or a tier list. I wanted to do a tier list about these subgenres. I think if you guys like it, I can do that, so let me know. And yeah, I hope you liked it and I hope you'll like horror movies, and good luck finding your subgenre.